Hey, what's up? It's Jose with another video. I'll be adding these 2-inch fork cap extenders. Probably only take a few minutes, hopefully. The only issues right now that I'm foreseeing is I don't have a motorcycle jack, so I'm gonna have to improvise with a car jack, and I don't have the socket, so I had to get this beefy wrench. Hopefully I don't mess something up and end up damaging the forks. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I might end up putting the fairing back on. The reason I'm also getting this all set up is because I've been getting little by little my wire tuck pieces, but I've just been slowly getting things together for that.
Thanks for watching. Give this video a like and feel free to ask questions down in the comments below. If you like watching low thrills, everyday Jose's, consider subscribing. Thanks.
Alright, so you might be able to see this is the stock fork cap, and then this is the new extended one. Has the gasket on it, but you might be able to see a big difference there, which I'm not sure if it's a big deal in the long run. This one is hollowed out. I was hoping this would be a little bit more solid, more beefy. Yeah, I'm gonna try to reinstall this by hand and hopefully able to get it on there solo. So we'll see, keep you posted. Well, I think my handlebars are in the way, which sucks because I don't want to take them off. As you can see, there's the spacer that's meant to go between the spring and then the washer and then the fork cap. So I need to get about 4 inches down and then in and then twist and turn. Shoot. Damn. Okay, well, video stops here for now. All right, there it is. That was a fucking bitch. Not gonna lie, that was tough. Damn. I'm like nervous to do the next one. Trying to take off these plastics. It's a lot more work than I thought. It's got a lot of zip ties. Alright, check this out. So there's one little part right here. I don't know if you can tell where maybe my finger's pointing at. There's that little nub right there. And that one looks like it's pressed in. So I gotta figure out how to push that back out, and then that's the last bit of the zip ties and the plastic screws. It looks like it's maybe just a push piece there. So yeah, almost done. All right, so came out. I used this pry tool, and so it's pretty much is off. It looks like there's also these two right here, and this is holding the ignition switch housing. So I'm gonna try that pry tool again on this side. See if I have any luck. Just popping it off. Oh yeah, it's coming. Cool. Yeah, so that's what those look like right there. Hopefully you can see. But that frees that up. And then there's one more down here. Let's see if I can get this in here. free. And I can take this switch off here. All right, cool. So looks like all of this is free, and a lot of wires that essentially need to get rewrapped with a more permanent black tape that I got. So I'll have to maybe take apart some of these electrical tape pieces and then have this tucked up inside of the tank. I wanted to show you too, hopefully you can see here, 1 second, how much space is actually available. This is looking right down the center here of the tank, and I have it on this piece of trim that's holding it up, but essentially it would be able to fit inside of here and have it look closer to the top and then open up and clear up the top. Ideally you have minimal wires coming down and looking all funky, and try to make it look all nice. So that's kind of the goal here. I'm going to clean all this up. This is the other side, and this is where the Coil relocation kit will come in, and I'll have that placed right in the center there. So. All right, well, here's the ignition switch, then the coil still partly on the bracket, then the spark plugs. So I ordered and got some new spark plug wires. This is the 8mm set from Lowbrow Custom. It's got every component you need to put your own wires together. That'll be interesting. And the reason I got those is because I don't believe the stock ones will work with the location of the top motor mount, which is this piece right here. I also got this from Lowbrow Customs, but it's a gas box part. Yeah, so this will go on the left side of the motor, and it also has this part right here, which is for the ignition switch. So it will also relocate the ignition switch over to that side. So there's a lot going on here, lots of parts kind of everywhere. I took a lot of things apart just so that I could clean it up. But we're moving. It's looking pretty messy. So got a lot of my battery box wires kind of all spaghetti-like over here as well. So these are a lot of the clips for those wires that go into the wire harness. Some of these additional wires here, as you can see, for Trickle Charger, and then also the USB charger for the phone. Which I didn't realize this, but on this 2017, there is a built-in Trickle Charger, and this was already on the bike. It actually looks like it goes and runs into the stock harness there. The interesting part about it, though, is that it has 3 parts. So there is the male and female, and then this top female part as well. And I'm not quite sure what that's all for, but it is a factory part. Yeah, so that's right next to the fuse box, the main fuse for the bike, next to the battery box, and that tucks in on this Velcro piece down here under the oil bag. Yeah, lots of things plugged in, unplugged. All right, so getting ready to take the ignition switch off. It's in this little plastic housing. So I put some electrical tape around the top here so that I could get some channel locks on it and then just break it free. So that's pretty much what's holding it to this little plastic housing. There's a ring, it's got some threads on it that locks onto this. There's a couple of things I needed to do. I got a file so that I could clear some of the material from the finish on here. Wouldn't really fit. So now there's a washer that takes up some of the slack on this switch, and then actually on the switch it tells you top. So if you forget or not sure, it kind of orientates you in the position that it needs to be in before you install it. So it's right there, nice. and then the cap will go right over and then screw onto that. And then as far as the coils, it's held on by 2 screws, and so these kind of protrude through the back, but it's held on by this small little bracket that goes behind the coil bracket, and then that'll hold it onto there. Alright, so there's an issue right there. Looks like I'm gonna need another washer to take up some of this slack. The ring that holds this together is maxed out. So I just finished wrapping up all the wiring. I used this easy fuse tape. It sticks to itself, so as you're pulling it and like binding it to the previously wrapped section, it holds the tape nice and tight. And then I left most of my connections available to unplug and plug in, so they're not all fully wrapped inside of a housing. This one is for the coils, this one is for the ignition switch, and then down below I have some that are for what I know are the lights, and then the speedometer, and then the headlight. So those are all still accessible if I needed to unplug them, but I just mostly covered up all of the different colored wires and kind of all put together and then split off wherever they need to go. So for example, this is all one piece that I did with that easy fuse tape, and then the wrapping around it that separates the two. This will come back up, and I have some zip ties that I'll zip tie all of it to the top of the frame, so that when I put the tank down, it all stays nice and tight to the top. Yeah, so everything seems to be pretty good. The next thing I'm gonna do is start taking these 2 bolts off so that I can mount the gas box motor mount. All right, check it out. So I got the mount ready to go. I was mocking it up and I had put the coils on, but realized that this clip wouldn't really quite fit through the hole with the coil on, so I'm gonna have to feed it through before I install the coils. The other thing on this too is that there's this gas line that goes down, so the orientation of the ignition switch needs to be so that it clears the hose and you can still plug in the harness from the back. Yeah, and lastly, I went and got 2 more washers, so you might need to run to the hardware store before you install it. So I'm not noticing any issue with the gas line. It looks like it should be just fine once it's all actually situated there. There's kind of this bend that goes down, but that was the naturally occurring bend from the factory right down to where it feeds the cylinders. And then the wiring, I do have some play in it, so I'll be able to kind of bring this down as far as I need, but that would be more or less for the coil switch. The one for the ignition switch appears to have plenty of slack, so I won't need to mess with that too much. I just need to bring this down a little bit further so I can pull this through and clip it in just like that. So I have it all positioned where I want it, tightened down. I'll show you the other side so you can get a better look at what the back of it looks like and how much clearance you might have. Again, I have a 2017 Sportster, and so this little kit is for, I think, 2006 up, and it's meant to clear this gas line. So you can see here, this wraps back down. This was how it actually naturally went down into the fitting below, and right there is the ignition switch, and I have the cable coming down right here, the wiring for the coils. And then on the back end, this is what that looks like. So I wrapped it up and over for this switch here, which is the one for the ignition there. And as you can tell, there's not much room, but it clears it just fine. And so you really can only put this switch in one orientation. Yeah, so it looks a little funky. I'll live with it for right now. I got a lot of cleanup to do and still got final placement of the wiring harness. Yeah, almost done. So I got the 8mm 90-degree spark plug wire set from Lowbrow. Yeah, so in the kit, they give you two 90s for the spark plugs. These are the internals for that. These clip onto the spark plugs. And then there are two straight boots and the internals for that. And let's see if you can see this, but they're definitely a little smaller, I guess you might say. These are the ones that go into the coil compared to, and I'll show you in a second here, the OEM one. So this is the OEM spark plug. As you can see, these boot covers are much longer than these. So not sure that makes too much of a difference, but one of them goes into the coil and then the other one goes onto the spark plug on the engine. Yeah, I think these are pretty straightforward as far as how to set them up and cut them up. So hopefully I don't have too much of an issue. I think the biggest concern I have is cutting them to the right length so that they look good and match evenly. I might just do a time lapse. All right, there it is. I didn't quite film all of the installation and or completion, but that's what it looks like now. I haven't tested them, so I hope the connections are good and strong. They look pretty sweet. If they don't work or something sounds off, I'll probably end up having to run to the Harley store and just getting some stock black connections and go with that. Definitely not as easy as some very seasoned people online make it look. I wanted to cry probably 2 or 3 times. So yeah, they're on there. Let's hope that they fire up and work well. So I'm putting everything back into where the battery lives, some wires, the new charging port for the charging cable, and just rerouting everything nice and tight. So the front forks are the last thing. Again, I ordered these 2-inch extensions that were meant to be just like a 10-20 minute thing and turned into a whole fiasco. And so I might just end up leaving one and then waiting to get the next one on there down the line and just leave it as is. But yeah, I think all the wiring is pretty much done. Getting ready and antsy to take it off this lift. So I'm gonna keep moving. Alright, that's it. I know this video was all over the place, but thanks for watching. Consider hitting the like button, reach out in the comments, and consider subscribing if you like low thrills DIYs like this. Alright, bye.